Okay, so we've had a 2006 Land Rover come in. I think it's a 90, I think, isn't it? It's a smaller one. TD5. And he'd lost drive, so we could only drive in diff lock. So when it came in, we thought we'd start with the out hub seals, which are these, because you see the thread on the inside of there. All them little teeth, they sometimes corrode away and wind off, so that they just spin and it goes nowhere in the drive shaft. So we thought it was these. So we first took them off on the caps to have a look at them. They were fine. In fact, one was seized on. And then we spun the actual wheel, and it was spun real freely to one side, and the other side, it was like it was still in drive. Well, still had some drive to it, but this was spinning so freely this side. I thought there's got to be something wrong on the inside. So we decided to take it off. Just took off the hub, all the bearings inside and everything, and inside there is the actual drive shaft, which is here. That's the drive shaft, and that's the shaft. That's the actual CV joint, and this is the actual shaft. It goes all the way through there. So when I took it apart and come to this bit here, these weren't connected. They had come apart for some reason. So this little clip in here wasn't attached. There was like a little ring on there, and that had broken off. I'm not even sure how that happened. So we thought, well, we better get a new drive shaft and CV, because the end of it, you can see it, is all mangled up. So they wouldn't actually fit back together. I couldn't get it back in the drive shaft. So got one of them, which is over here somewhere. Yep, there we are. There's a new one. Tried to put it back in the hole, which is here, and it wouldn't go in, not all the way. And if it was in, there was no drive to it again. It was like it was spinning freely. So we looked right down the hole there, and could see that the actual diff had broken up inside. As you can see, these all should be that. So this bit that the drive shaft goes into, to go into the diff, had dropped down, so you couldn't get the drive shaft in there. So that's why I wasn't driving. So the diff was knackered in the end, so we had to take all the diff off, and now we'll have to get a replacement diff, because, well, it's had it, and that was the reason why it lost drive in the first place. But you've got to go through the process of elimination first. So you start with that, the cheapest obviously, and then unfortunately you have to go to the diff, which was the main problem anyway, but you have to do everything else to get to the diff. So that was it really, and that's where we are now. So that's a diff out, which isn't actually a bad job. What is that? I think it's only 10 bolts all the way around it, and it pops off. But before you can get the diff off, you've got to get all of this off first. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. Okay, the new diff here for the Land Rover that I've been working on. I'm just going to open up the diff box now. I presume this is how you open it. I have no idea. Fair box, to be fair. To be sure. Right. That tabs. There it is. Yeah, on brand new diff. There's the old one, we'll wheel the old one back over again. So as you can see, there's the old diff, all the guts are falling out of it. Let's add it. And there's a new diff. And they're all in. There you go. That's why I put a new one on. Okay, so this is the old diff housing. So now there's a bit of sludge and a bit of swarf in the bottom there, so I need to get rid of all that. It's going to be spotless before I put the new diff back in. All the old bits are broken up there and all the sludge and everything's still in there, so I'm going to keep firing it through a brake cleaner till it's spotless and then put it all back together. Okay, it's all clean now. Brake clean loads of times, loads of rags in there. Just a little bit of scoring on the inside, and been around with a magnet to get all the big bits out as well, so it's all clean. Ready to go. Back in with a new diff. Okay, let's put the new diff in. I would have filmed it, but it's really difficult to do with one hand. Put the new seal on it, new diff's in. So I do all these bolts up, and then we'll reattach the prop. You can see that. I'll get a bit of picture for you. The prop on, just put the prop bolts back in, and then that for the diff, like, that's all done really, apart from this bottom bracket on, which supports the through the bolts at the bottom there, these bolt holes. It's got like a brick bracket, which is there. That bracket there, and that just a bit of a guide for the rear track arm. Okay, so I'll put it back together, then I'll show you how to put the bearings back together. Okay, one diff fitted and prop on now to do the bearings and the rest of the jobs. Okie doke.